So, this next question is for £1 million, which I will be paying from my own pocket. I will only ask this question once, and here it is. What is your PIN number?
It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
I am Des Clark and this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. Joining me this week is comedian Neil Delamere, and with him is stand-up Crystal Evans, and facing off against them is comedian and storyteller Mary-Elaine Robertson, and alongside her is stand-up Chris Thorburn. In the news this week, a Kentucky man has been awarded $450,000 after his company threw him a surprise birthday party despite his warnings that it would trigger stress and anxiety. When the ruling was announced in court, his family jumped up to celebrate with him, netting the guy a further 50 grand in damages. An illegal rave was dispersed 21 hours after police first ordered partygoers to leave. It would have been quicker, but the flashing lights and sirens only encouraged them. And a young Scots pianist has beaten Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga to the top of the UK jazz and blues album charts. When asked what the key to his success was, he said all of them. He's a pianist. Right, you met the panel. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess the two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Neil and Crystal, can you tell me what the first story in the mashup is?
Boris Johnson.
Spoken to Nicola Sturgeon to remind her about
A joke. Mr Johnson met
the First Minister in a barber shop.
to appeal for parties at Downing Street. Labour wants further action after calling the
Police.
What do we think about that? Crystal, any ideas as to our first story?
I think that's Boris Johnson apologising for the parties that he attended during lockdown.
It is the news that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson has apologised for attending a birthday party in Downing Street in 2020, saying he did not think he was breaking the law at the time. But Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has called his apology a joke, with MPs from all parties criticising his behaviour. During his apology, Boris Johnson said that he did not realise he was breaking the law because at the time he was absolutely steaming. So, Crystal, there it is laid in front of you. Do you accept the Prime Minister's apology?
I mean, I accept it in the same way that I accept my 6-year-old apologising when he's pushed his brother, you know? Because he'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'll be like, you know what? Just because I can tell you're being really genuine, I'm going to let this one slide. I want this to be over.
Neil, what do you think about this? Do you accept the Prime Minister's apology?
No. No, I do not. This half man, half golden retriever that he is, this man whose imagination is as fertile as his testicles. No, I don't accept it at all. Because he's going to have to keep doing this, because there's more fines on the way. He's going to have a direct debit to the Met Police. That's what he's going to have.
Chris, what do you think about this then? Boris Johnson has apologised. Do you accept that apology?
I want to be very careful about what I say here. Does guillotine have one L or two?
Mary-Elaine, what do you think about this then? Boris Johnson has apologised. Do you accept the Prime Minister's apology?
Yes.
And that's all that needs to be said.
No, the reason I do is because I think he's a terrible person and he needs to be reprimanded. But I do accept when he said that he said he didn't mean to mislead anyone. He didn't mean to lie about the parties. We've all been to like a party or a spree or a regatta or a wedding or a funeral, and you've just had too much to drink. And in the morning you wake up and you're nursing your head at the kitchen table and being like, I don't remember anything. Where's Granny? And they're like, we put her on the ground, Mary-Elaine. I'm like, some nights do not remember.
That was a great regatta.
Do you think this has drawn a line under anything?
I'm scared that it's drawn a line under what constitutes a party. a few Zoom calls across an office do not a party make. And if that's what your bosses are going to give you as parties in the future, you have to say something. Like, an office party isn't sitting at a screen with a hat on. An office party is like when you have karaoke on the reception and you fill the water cooler full of punch and you put like hay on the floor to soak up the spills and give the sheep something to eat. That's a party.
Now, obviously, we're talking about apologies. One of the most high-profile apologies has just happened from our Prime Minister. Crystal, have you had to apologise?
Okay, I have to apologize right now, guys, to the panel and maybe to the audience too. It's not fair that I keep blaming Neil or the guy behind you. It's me that's been farting this week.
Neil, what about you? We're talking about Boris Johnson's apology. When have you had to apologise?
Do you know when you misjudge the mood of when you're messing around with your spouse and you're trying to get a rise out of them and you just get it wrong? So my wife said to me, basically I hadn't done enough of the work around the house, and she roared at me, "Have you ever cleaned out the lint drawer of the dryer?" And I went, "I didn't even know we could keep chocolate in the dryer."
How did that go, Neil?
That went as well as you might expect. I've been saying sorry solidly for about 40 hours.
Yes, Boris Johnson's apology and the reaction to it is the correct answer. Neil and Crystal, well done. You get 2 points for that. Now to you, Margolin and Chris, what was the other story we were after?
Does that have anything to do with face mask restrictions coming to an end in Scotland?
People in Scotland are no longer legally required to wear face coverings in crowded indoor places like shops or restaurants or on public transport. The move brings Scotland into line with the rest of the UK. And earlier this week, it was revealed that police officers had spoken to Nicola Sturgeon after she was filmed breaching Scotland's face mask rules. The force said no further action was needed. The First Minister said she had gone into the hair salon for her traditional number 2, but was told that toilets were for customers only.
I was on the underground in London, and where you had to wear a mask at the time, And there's a girl, and she's like, "I don't like wearing a mask. I don't like wearing a mask. I don't like anything on my face." She had fake eyelashes on her out to about there. She had 6-inch fake eyelashes on her. Not even the ones like a human would wear. You know the ones you put in the front of a Nissan Micra? You know those ones?
Crystal Evans, what do you think about what's happening then? So we've got the end of restrictions in Scotland. Are you glad to see this?
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm a little hesitant, though. I know that there's bound to be more variants, but, hopefully because we're all vaccinated, the variants will be, more mild symptoms, So the evening news will just be like, this just in, new COVID variant 21B's main symptom is making the host too sexy for their hat,
And now, obviously, we've seen what's happened during the week with the First Minister. People have said that maybe she jumped the gun and stopped wearing the mask too soon. Have you ever jumped the gun like Nicola Sturgeon? Chris, have you done this?
I did. It was early last month. It was myself and another comedian. We travelled over to the Netherlands to do a comedy festival. And we got into the country. We got from the airport to our hotel. We dropped our bags off. And then we went right to a shopping centre to, grab some coffee. And this place was packed. And as we were waiting for our coffee, we looked around and we realised of all the people in that place, we were the only 2 people wearing masks. No one in the country was wearing a mask. So we took our masks off, and then for the 3 days that we were there, we were like, these guys are on board, and, maybe this thing is kind of coming to an end. Anyway, I got COVID.
Well, there we go. That's how you do it, Chris.
I also got COVID as well as I jumped the gun, and I was meant to be doing the show on the 2nd episode.
Yeah.
And I was really sad because I wrote the only joke I've ever written for the show and I never got to say it.
Well, the stage is yours. What was it?
Okay, so you have to read the news and numbers.
Oh, my God. If you could rewind 8 weeks, everyone. Arnold Schwarzenegger is 80% what?
Back of the poster of the film Twins. is it like 80% muscle in terms of his body fat?
Aren't humans mostly 90% water? So you think Arnold Schwarzenegger's 80% muscle?
Yeah.
He's so dehydrated. Like, so...
What a follow-up to the Terminator, the dehydrator. Jay.
Sure he's going to run for the presidency?
Happened.
Against The Rock?
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Back to the news and numbers round from Breaking News, and Marjolaine was meant to be here, and the news and numbers question was this. Fingers on buzzers. Arnold Schwarzenegger is 60% what? Marjolaine.
Consonants.
I think you'll agree that was absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
It's a lovely answer.
Only punchline I've ever written here. It's just my thoughts.
Oh, that's amazing. Obviously, we're looking at the end of restrictions in Scotland. It's been a long 2 years. Will you miss anything about the last 2 years?
Yes, you were allowed to watch as much television as humanly possible and nobody could have a go at you. I watched all of the Great British Bake Off recorded in one day. It was amazing. Jürgen the German, straight out of the traps. Week one, people find their feet, and Jürgen was like, I have made a fully functioning electron microscope out of gingerbread and a brandy snack. He was unbelievable. And the slides are made of gelatin, and on the slides is a genuine DNA sample of Mr. Kipling. And then somebody else was like, I made an apple tart. It was fantastic.
Endless TV is a great answer for the past 2 years. Despite restrictions being lifted, ScotRail are still strongly advising commuters to wear their masks, with their statement reading, "Trust us, you don't want to remember what the inside of trains smell like." Well done, Marjolaine and Chris. You get 2 points for that. It was the mashup of the Prime Minister's apology and the end of legal restrictions in Scotland for coronavirus. And at the end of that round, the teams are all square. Now, so much of our news is about public opinion, and this week we spoke to journalist and presenter Fiona Stalker and broadcaster Paul English. So, Marjolaine and Chris, what story do you think Fiona is on about here?
This is a fantastic idea. It's a bit like online dating. You put in your profile and you're matched with a place rather than a person. I'd be looking for a beach, I'd be looking for a pub, and I would be looking for wildlife.
This is the new passport scheme where you can put in your interests and you get linked to a different Scottish island to encourage you to visit it.
That's the right answer. Well done, Marjolaine. Yes, it is the news that a new initiative called the Scottish Islands Passport has been set up to encourage people to visit overlooked isles, as well as traditionally popular destinations. People can have a passport-like book stamped on each island they visit, and they can download a free app to get information on what to see and do, as well as being matched to the island that best fits them. The Scottish Islands Passport has been set up to encourage people to visit overlooked isles. They've said they want to make sure there isn't a lull on Mull, that Aaron doesn't become barren, and when it comes to muck, they'd really like it if you gave it some consideration.
I don't know if I'm biased or not, right? But Shetland is the best place in the entire world. It's beautiful. We have these endless days in summer where the sun there's always light in the sky. And in the winter, you have the northern lights. We call them the merry dancers and the wildlife. But we're not meant to say that anymore because that's not what brings in the tourists. Because the tourisms are drawn in because of BBC Shetland. And tourists come into Shetland like, oh my God, I just really hope that I get murdered and then Jimmy Perez will like stand over my dead body. And I'm like, stop it, Crystal, go home.
As an American, I already love going to Scottish Islands to scout where to build my next golf course. Decided on Shetland.
You're just writing the next episode of Shetland right now. It was me, Jimmy.
which island is the best match for you?
Well, I've been looking into it, and I found one island that is genuinely called the Isle of You. Isn't that nice? The Isle of You. So I looked into it. It's a tiny island, and it's leased to one family. It's just one family that lives there. Now, this is what I'm picturing. Through some shenanigans with the will of an estranged uncle that I've never met, I wind up owning the island. I move in with the family. Sitcom. Now, they teach me all about island life. I maybe teach them a thing or two. I Love You Too, coming to BBC Scotland in October.
Get it commissioned now. What do you think then, Neil? Which island is the best match for you?
The island of Sandy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, it's rich in archaeology, apparently, and has a Neolithic cairn. But the reason I'm going there is because it has the site of a Viking boat burial. And I am fascinated by all things Vikings. Love Vikings. First Viking raid ever recorded was in 793 AD in Lindisfarne Monastery, just north of Newcastle. That's what the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle tells us. And the Vikings came in and the monks were like, oh no, a load of Vikings, run away. Run away. Oh no, loads of Vikings! Wiggy wuggy biker groove. And
yes, the Scottish Islands passport is the right answer. 2 points go to Marilyn and Chris. Right to you, Neil and Crystal. What do you think Paul is talking about here?
One's perfectly acceptable. Two's about sort of Friday, Saturday night. That's acceptable too. 3, 4, you're getting into sort of wardrobe malfunction territory where a button has popped. I'm not saying I've never done it, but I've certainly learned from my mistakes.
Is it about Emmanuel Macron?
This week, Emmanuel Macron has released a series of informal photographs just days before the French presidential election runoff vote against Marine Le Pen. The photos have created a big discussion online about Macron's open shirt and hairy chest. Crystal, do you see this helping Macron in the upcoming election?
I can't see into the French voters' psyche, but I would say more power to him, use what you've got. I mean, if all politicians showed body parts to make up for their lack of confidence, Boris would give every press conference in the nude, so maybe it's not such a good thing.
Yeah, this could be a slippery slope, couldn't it? Chris, do you think this will help Emmanuel Macron in the upcoming election?
Oh, it absolutely will. He's going for pure sex appeal with his re-election, and this is part one of a 3-stage plan for him. He's done these photo shoots. Second stage, he's going to switch from suit trousers, go straight to those grey joggies that show you the outline. Stage 3, he's going to do the sexiest thing any man can do. He's going to tell the bedtime story on CBeebies.
The Tom Hardy route to success right there. Crystal Evans, do you like a hairy chest?
Well, I'm married to a Scottish guy, so yeah, obviously. Love you, honey. But yeah, Scottish hairy chests tend to grow exponentially and erratically. So with my husband's, it seems to always be a race against time to keep it at bay with the clippers before his own chest hair suffocates him.
Marilyn, do you like a hairy chest?
Yes, and I hope there's a rise in popularity of them because then I can start tweezing my own.
Obviously, we're going retro with this style. It seems very 70s, doesn't it? What other retro style would you like to see brought back? Neil?
Shoulder pads. I danced on a dance show, and the first dance was I was in a bolero jacket. Right? Shoulder pads like 8 inches out either side, and I had gold studs in this black jacket. I looked like they'd rolled a matador in thumbtacks. That's what I looked like. I described it as Elton John at an Orange Order parade.
What a look that is, mate.
Half Joan Collins, half Colonel Gaddafi. I look amazing. Bring it back.
Yes, the possible reveal of the hairy chest is the correct answer. And 2 points go to Neil and Crystal. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who's in the news. So I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So Neil and Crystal, you're first this time. Who is this?
I think I had a love of newspapers, which was a bit weird for a boy of my age. I love the feel of newspapers, the smell of newspapers. So that was my real love and passion, and remains the case now.
This is the comeback of Piers Morgan.
That is Piers Morgan, who has compared himself to Nelson Mandela, claiming his year away from TV presenting and his battle for free speech is similar to the former South African leader's struggle against apartheid. Speaking before the launch of his new show, he said, "I feel like Nelson Mandela when he came out of prison. It's like the long walk to free speech freedom." Marilyn, give us your take on this. Can you see any similarities between Piers Morgan and Nelson Mandela?
I see no similarities between Piers Morgan and Nelson Mandela. But I wish to see similarities between Piers Morgan and the Mandela effect. So, science time. The Mandela effect is when we have, collectively, a false memory. And it was named after, in the 1980s, people were convinced that Mandela died in prison in the 1980s, and this was just a false thought that a lot of people shared. Another famous Mandela effect is the Monopoly Man. Many people think he has a monocle, but he doesn't have a monocle. Or the other famous Mandela effect of Star Wars. People think that Darth Vader said, "Luke, I'm your father." But in fact, it was Jeremy Kyle who had to tell Luke Skywalker that his father was Darth Vader.
So I guess to bring it round for the Mandela effect...
I wish that Piers Morgan didn't exist. Let's all collectively will him away.
Crystal Evans, we're talking about Piers Morgan, who says that this is all about freedom of speech. Do you buy that?
Seriously, I do feel like I actually know where Piers Morgan is coming from. Like at the beginning of the show, Des, you said to me, "Crystal, you really need to stop farting because we're going to start recording and the panel can't breathe." And in that moment, I felt like I was Nelson Mandela.
Do you buy this, Chris? Do you believe that this is actually about freedom of speech?
No, it's a grift that we've seen like countless times before. You see it with comedians. Like these comedians reinvent themselves as bad boy comedians, and that's the perfect grift because if somebody doesn't laugh at one of their jokes, they could just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Were you offended? Am I cancelled?" I don't have that. If somebody doesn't laugh at my joke, all I have is, "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I bad at this?"
So Piers Morgan has compared himself to Nelson Mandela, but let's find out from our panel what comparisons they would make. Which historical figure would you compare yourself to? Neil Delamere.
Joan of Arc. Got a French surname.
Mm-hmm.
I was a strappy teenager. Hate barbecues.
Perfect. Marguling.
Yes.
Which historical figure would you compare yourself to?
Gandalf the Grey from the Third Age of Middle-earth.
Discuss.
Because Gandalf the Grey comes along and he's all like, "Oh, a wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to." And I, like Gandalf, also can't tell the time. So that one.
Yes, 2 points to Neil and Crystal. That was, of course, Piers Morgan. Right, Marguline and Chris, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
When it's part of the job, when my opinions might still be listened to, then I think it's very important to develop a way of looking at yourself dispassionately.
That's Harrison Ford's voice. And he's just been filming Indiana Jones 5?
Yeah, is the fifth one.
And then they're all saying, "Oh, he's so amazing because he's 79 and he's able to do so much of the action." And I'm like, my dad's 83 and he could take him.
Yes, it is the news that Harrison Ford is reprising his role as Indiana Jones at the age of 79, with the next film in the series to be called Indiana Jones and the Last of the Summer Wine. The bit at the end in the tin bath. What a finish that is.
I think it's called Raiders of the Lost Pension, isn't it? It's not necessarily... And it's Indiana Jones being chased by a boulder, and it turns out he's actually running from his own kidney stone.
But we've got Harrison Ford here, almost 80 years old, still going strong. What do you think about him, Crystal? Are you surprised to hear that he's thrown himself into this part with such gusto?
I really think this has something to do with the fact that the U.S. president is currently Joe Biden right now. Like, old is in. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if this was a Hollywood-Washington propaganda team-up to get the country thinking a really old guy is definitely capable of being the action hero America needs.
Obviously, Harrison Ford is doing it, going strong at the age of 79. What do you think you'll be up to at 79?
I already feel my mind going, so I think by the time I'm 79, I'll be good and senile. And I love watching those videos of, you know, people who are, you know, like their mind is gone, but music helps to bring them back. Like when my nana was old, like we would play her The Sound of Music. And that brought her back, and like she would remember, and it was very sweet. And I cannot wait for me to be old and for my kids to be doing that with music that I grew up to. They're all got tears in their eyes. They're around me by the bed, and they're all like, "Put your hands up, Limp Bizkit!"
Neil Delamere, we're talking about Harrison Ford at the age of 79, still filming Indiana Jones. What do you think you'll be up to at 79?
If I do, actually, my parents both got to their 80s, and my father, I hope I get to what he does, because he's 86, and he does not care what other people think of him. And that is the great liberating factor. I once went to a mass with him, and he was halfway down the church, and he's getting a little bit slow on his feet now, and a Eucharistic minister, you know, the people who give out the communion, was walking down to the back of the church to hand out communion. And my dad, you could see him going, "Well, I'm not standing up here. I'm old. I'm not standing up." So he just simply leaned out of the pew like a dog looking out a car window. Like and pointed to his face. And in fairness to the guy giving out the communion, he didn't even break stride. He came over and just flicked it out like it was amazing. I want to be like that.
That's what you want to be at that age. Yes, Harrison Ford is the right answer. 2 points go to Marjolaine and Chris. And it's time now for our final quick-fire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
There's nothing worse than a dry wick, is there?
That's Kay Adams there with strong opinions about Caithness. Fingers on buzzers. Here we go. It costs up to 90p to do what, Neil?
Buy a chainsaw in Aldi.
It costs up to 90p to do what, Crystal?
Get 18 carrier bags.
You've done that, haven't you?
Thank you.
Sneaking a few in the pocket. It costs up to 90p to do what, Marjolaine?
Lick a Freddo.
The answer is it costs up to 90p to run a bath.
There's nothing worse than a dry wick, is there?
That's the klaxon. Kay has Adams. It's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Neil Delamere and Crystal Evans. And commiserations to Marjolaine Robertson and Chris Thorburn. And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news, Justin. UK retailer Boots has vowed to stop selling all wet wipes that contain plastic fibres by the end of the year, admitting that it was probably an unnecessary addition to the meal deal in the first place. The 2026 Commonwealth Games have been officially awarded to Victoria in Australia, who is surprised, but she says she'll do her best. And according to a Canadian investigative group, Downing Street and Foreign Office computer systems were suspected to have been infected with spyware. In other news, the Prime Minister's new pen pal, Olga at highheartputin.com, has suddenly stopped replying to his emails. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!
That was the last in the current series of Breaking the News, but be sure to join Mark Nelson and his panel next Friday afternoon at 1:30 for a new series of the good, the bad and the unexpected. Stay with us next as David Farrell and Emmy Irons brings you all the latest news in the world of showbiz on The Edit.